I'm Fred Taylor.
Nikki Taylor, and we are the parents of 7 children and 2 grandbabies. The 7th one was in between the last 2, and she is Tirza, and she was born with trisomy 18. Tirza was born in December of 2009.
Yep.
And passed away in March of 2010, and she would be 13 this December. It had to be induced. I think they lack the chemicals and things that they need to induce to bring into the labor. The rest of our babies were 8 and 9 pound babies, and here comes this little baby who is 5 pounds. And right away she was having trouble breathing. And so the doctor, our obstetrician, was taking care of her. And then she was transported to Columbus Children's. And then we found out just a few days later, after they did the genetic testing, what the issue was. We were told that by the neonatologist that no one would blame you if she had another apneic event and you just let her go.
Yeah, he said that to us in ICU.
Repeatedly. The cardiologist, after they had done all their tests, told Fred.
Yeah, he came into the room and said, this is what's wrong with her heart. She has a hole in her heart. She has a valve problem and this. I said, okay, I don't care what she has. Can you fix it? He said, yes, but why would you? And then they refused to do the surgery.
So there are doctors that do not care, and there are doctors that just go by the textbooks, that they're incompatible with life, that they don't have a chance, that they're just going to be a vegetable. Tirza would take her little fist, it's very common with trisomy, that their fists are clenched.
The pinky's longer than the rest of the fingers.
So she would have it like that, and she would take, and only when Daddy held her, and she would take and rub his beard. And she didn't do that with anybody else. She only did that with Daddy. When I would hold her, she would take and nuzzle my neck. And that was something that she only did with me. That baby was held her entire life. If we had to do something, she was very rarely put down. She knew love, she felt love, and she gave love. She changed all of us. I think she's made everybody more aware of children with special needs. You know, there's definitely a difference with knowing that God had a plan for her life, knowing that, like I said, he knew how many days she was going to be alive. He knew well before she was conceived what her life was going to be. It was an honor to be her mom. It was an honor to have her a part of our lives. And it's very hard after you lose a child and that pain doesn't go away, but I wouldn't change anything. You know, had we known, there's no way I would have chosen to terminate her.
Oh, no.
She deserved that. She deserved every minute of those 94 days. So it's just a matter of getting the medical community to change their attitudes that these kids are worth it. Whether they get to live for 94 seconds, 94 minutes, or 94 days, or 94 years, they're worth every single second. Every single second. She prepared us for our grandson, whose story is coming. She, she changed all of our hearts, made us more tender towards the children. She changed other people's hearts. She reminds us all the time, one, that God's in control, and he knows what's going on before we do.
I'm Kevin Buss.
I'm Lydia, and this is
Asher
and Ryder. And Ryder had TGA, which is transposition of the great arteries. So his arteries were flipped, and instead of flowing from his heart to his lungs through his body, and vice versa, one was just flowing from his heart to his lungs and then back to his heart, and the other was his heart through his body and back to his heart. We had the echo done of his heart while I was pregnant, and then they came in and they told us his diagnosis, and then it took us kind of a second to process what they were saying, but then after that we immediately went to, okay, we love him, there's no way anything's gonna happen, we're gonna do whatever it takes to. Then they were immediately on board. They jumped right in and told us all about the surgery and gave us, they were all very positive and encouraging, and the surgery had 98%.
Yeah, 98.
And they were telling us all about the good side and the positives. And yeah, with Tirza, they're not very optimistic, and they view it as a death sentence rather than a kid. And with Ryder, because it was just his heart and not any kind of genetic thing, they were very positive and were looking at him as the kid rather than his diagnosis.
We were really worried the first week, obviously, up until the surgery, first few weeks. But now he's a normal baby. He's very happy, loves to eat and sleep.
Every time that we would pray for him, pray over him, we would both pray that God would use this, that God would find a way to make this a beautiful testimony, and that he would use it to bring glory to his name and just show what he's capable of.
My name is John Elric. This is my wife, Lana.
My name is Mary Catherine Eric.
Our youngest daughter, she's 19 years old.
She's the youngest of 7.
My birthday is August the 6th,
2003.
2003.
We were not aware of Mary's diagnosis. We were very surprised, so we had no idea.
Lana went into premature labor, and they transported her up to OSU Hospital, where she was born, and she was due October the 22nd, but she was born on the 6th of August, 2003. While Lana was in labor, the student doctors and medical professionals, they told us that, you have a Down syndrome child. And of course, Lana's in labor, and I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, we really don't need to hear this right now, but.
We've been through that before, where they had told us that one of our children was going to be Downs, and we found out that that wasn't the case. We made a mistake, so we thought, no, they're making a mistake again. About 35 years ago, they told us that while I was in labor, the doctors and the students noticed something in the ultrasound and said, oh, your child's going to have a cleft palate or possibly a hair lip. And, here I am in labor, and I'm thinking, why didn't they tell us this afterwards? But we were very upset, and after she was born, she was perfect. She didn't have a cleft palate or even a hair lip. And then we had another child who we did the screening test, as we did with all of our other children when I was in labor, or when I was pregnant, and it showed that she was possibly Downs. And the doctor said, I know you have no desire to terminate the pregnancy, but in our small community, we feel like we want to know if there's issues. So I think we need to do more testing. So he sent us to OSU to have more testing, and they had a high-tech ultrasound, and then they wanted to do an amniocentesis. And we've known other people who have lost their children through an amniocentesis and decided we weren't going to do that.
We weren't going to terminate any of the pregnancies anyways. So.
No, so we did have the high-tech ultrasound, and it showed that it looked like our child was Down syndrome, some of the features that they were seeing in the ultrasound. So the whole pregnancy, I thought I was going to have a Down syndrome child. Our little Rebecca she was just perfect. So when they told us that our child was Down syndrome through an ultrasound, we thought, well, we've been down this road before.
Yeah.
We thought there another mistake.
I mean, it's a learning hospital. We realize that, and mistakes are going to be made, and we just thought, they made another mistake, but they were right on.
But when we seen our little Mary, she looked normal to us. We thought, we don't see any Down syndrome features, they're wrong. But then I think after the swelling in her face went down, you could start seeing those features.
Yeah.
Well, we had decided no longer to have any more testing done after we had Rebecca. After the mistake with Rebecca, we decided we're not putting ourselves through that any longer.
No.
And
Put
so
it all in God's hands,
right.
and
so we
He'll
had
see us through.
3 other children after Rebecca, and we just decided not to do any screening because it didn't matter anyway. We were going to have our children no matter what God gave us.
The joys and the wonders that Mary has brought to our family and to a lot of people in the community. Even as a toddler, she loved facial hair, short haircuts, crew cuts. She loved crew cuts. She just couldn't keep her hands off beards and hair. She just loved that feeling.
But I think because she was so open, she just would go to people and just climb on their laps and just was always wanting to love on people. And I think her love is so genuine. She truly loves everybody. And she will tell you, you're my best friend. And I would think, I thought I was your best friend. But she tells everybody, you're my best friend. And I think truly, everybody is her best friend, because she loves everybody. This year when she graduated, she was nominated Homecoming Queen, but got Senior Attendant. And I'll tell you, it was so exciting for us to see her on the homecoming court, and she just beamed. She just felt like a princess. And it just goes to show you how much our school and the classmates treat and love our daughter, and it just...
One of her teachers, Rebecca Milstead, had made the comment before graduation that if Mary did not graduate with her starting class, her peers would be very upset. They wanted her to graduate with them. It wasn't official, mind you, but she did.
Well, we had thought about putting her back for another year, just where it's been a tough year for us. So we just thought we're going to put Mary back in school for one more year because she loves it so, and it's kind of a very safe place for her right now. And so we were going to hold off, and they were like, no, she's got to be with her classmates. They love her too much, and she loves them.
So I'm Nora DeBruin.
I'm Brian DeBruin.
And we have 4 children, and our oldest is Teddy, and he is the one that has special needs. And he is what, 23, almost 24.
Almost 24.
When Teddy was a baby, we didn't know that there was anything wrong with him. Like, not that there's really anything wrong, you know. He's perfect the way he is, but he's not typically developing. And we didn't find that out until he was probably 8 months old. The daycare director of the center where he was going pulled me aside one day and said, hey, you know, we noticed he's not hitting the milestones like the other kids his age. Do you mind if we have someone from Help Me Grow come in and do an evaluation? I was pretty much deep in denial at the time. I mean, when they said that to me, I just thought, whatever. Like, you know, she can evaluate him. He's going to be fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with him. And then as our journey progressed, it was more and more apparent that he was not fine. And that was really hard to accept. I remember the day that they came to the house to evaluate him, she was late. And so in my mind, you know, he didn't do as well because he was tired. Because he needed a nap, and, you know, he was kind of, you know, cranky. And so I made excuses for why he didn't hit the marks, like do the things that she wanted him to do. When they told us about, you know, that they thought there might be some delays with Teddy, I really didn't think that anything was going to happen with that. I thought he'd be fine. Like, they would do the test and check a few things out and say, oh yeah, he's right where he should be, and he wasn't. And that was difficult. Like, that was a hard thing to accept, that that there could be something wrong with him.
And then I wanted him to close the gap. So, you know, I was trying really hard to make him do things he wasn't capable of doing. And I think that added a lot of stress to our lives.
I was still working. Like,
yeah.
So he was 8 months old. He was in daycare. And when they said, hey, we want him to come to the early intervention program, and we want him to start, you know, physical therapy and speech therapy and occupational.
That was the day we almost both quit.
Yeah. And I said, I can't have him doing all that and not be there. So I did. I quit.
The challenges we faced, I mean, there's been many. So, like, for the longest time, Teddy wasn't able to eat normal food. So I remember we went to McDonald's. It was the first time we'd eaten out in years. And that was just something normal that everybody else got to do every day. And, you know, that was something we didn't do. We used to spend a lot of time going to the zoo or places we could go on walks, but Teddy doesn't walk very well. He's not strong. So you got to take the stroller or the chair and make sure you got everything arranged. No water, because he'll throw his glasses, take his shirt off. He's gonna go swimming. So it's not necessarily bad, it's just something we planned for.
Well, and the other thing too is with the other, there's a different dynamic when you have more than one child anyway. And with Teddy, it was always, you know, the things that the other kids wanted to do, we would take Teddy to, but then we always knew that there was a possibility that we were gonna either have to leave early, or one of us was gonna have to leave.
Right.
So that's been a hard thing to balance, is to make sure that everybody's getting attention. Because when you have someone with special needs, it's easy to just focus on the one and not be able to do stuff with your other kids. So we tried really hard. And that was a really hard thing for us too, was to ask for help. Like, we didn't want to ask people to help us, but as Teddy got older and we got a little wiser, we decided, you know what, like, if somebody's offering to watch him, maybe we should let them watch him so that we can go to the game and not have to worry about what Teddy's doing. Like, we can just enjoy the game. My other children are a lot more empathetic than they would have been without Teddy. I mean, they know what it's like to have a sibling with a special need, and so I think they're more tolerant of other people in their schools. And you appreciate things more, you know, like when Teddy took his first step, he was 5, and you know, when our other children took their first steps, we appreciated that more, because we were like, wow, you know, look at them go, like, they're not even 1.
Yeah.
But everything that Teddy's done, he's had to work really hard for, and so, you know, it gives us an appreciation for people that have to work hard for things, and, you know, that's not easy, and it takes a lot of people to get where you are. And Brian has always said that, you know, Teddy's taught him that you can have a bad moment, but it doesn't have to be a bad day, because that's how Teddy is. You know, he could be very upset 1 minute, and then he's happy again.
He's over it.
He's over it, and that's it. It's gone.
That's something he's taught me. True value of life it's kind of an open-ended thing, right? Like, I think Nora and I have always been very driven by faith, and we're belief in God, and, you know, things are going to be taken care of. But I think when you think about how life works, you got to live where you're at today, right? And Teddy's taught us that tomorrow might not be any different than today is. It takes a long time for things to happen. So you got to enjoy where you are. Even if it's not the best of circumstances, or it's not exactly how you wanted it to go, it's going to be okay.
Hi, I'm Heather Jo Duvall. And this is my beautiful mother, Peggy Duvall, and my daddy, Joseph Duvall. And we are the Duvall family.
We were not aware at all that Heather was going to be Down syndrome, but I kept saying, there just seems to be something different about this pregnancy. And Joe also felt like God was just kind of leading him to let him know that there's going to be something. But we would never, ever have had an option of abortion. You know, that was not in our plans. I think also when you had Heather, I didn't know that Heather, even after her birth, I didn't know that there was anything wrong. And Joe looked at her, tell her what you did.
I felt like that when her mouth was something different, and so I still remember the blue gown with a V-neck, and I put her on my chest, and I just simply said, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I will protect you the rest of your life.
And so we did not find out. They did the genetic testing, but we would look at Heather one day and think, hey, she might be Down's. And then the next day, it would seem like she's not. She flipped over at 3 weeks old. So it was like, wow.
Thunder of joy.
Yes. So, you know, so that was, but our biggest fear was how society was going to help her and continue to nourish her.
But the people here in Fayette County were amazing, whether it was the school system, whether it was the community, they all seemed to do a lot for her and kind of protect her as well.
A challenge was going to school, you know, but we chose to do what was called inclusion. And so, so that it wasn't such a struggle on the teachers, what we did was we would say, okay, instead of a report card, you give me 3 things that she is supposed to learn from this, and then tell me how she did on that. So we got a written report instead of grades. Now, when you got to high school, it was different. You had to do grades. And so, but we figured it out. It was great.
I also had a challenge with my teacher, Miss Breelove. We decided that I would do like what's it called? The Eiffel Tower.
Oh, the Eiffel Tower.
And it keeps falling apart. So I said, hey, we'll just do it together. And we did it together.
And so Mrs.
And we connected with my teacher, and I knew then I wanted to be a teacher.
Yes. We went to Laurel Oaks and got a child care certificate, and that has been an amazing thing for her because she's now telling what you do.
I'm a teacher.
You're center assistant, aren't you?
Assistant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she loves children.
I love the children. I love the babies. I love everything about my school, and also Miss Tara, my boss.
And then also you help at church in the nursery.
And I help work in the nursery at the church, and I also teach preschool.
Yeah, and then she does a preschool class that she helps in.
Have come to the conclusion that every day is a new day, and every day is a new opportunity. And so I kind of learned 3 or 4 things with Heather's birth, and that one of them is that I learned to love more deeply, understand more patiently, to figure out with other people, because, you know, reality is, you know, the world seems to be an angry place right now. And so we need to understand that everybody needs love. And so whether it's Heather or other people, they all need love.